There we are. Good morning. So, thank you for joining me very early today. We are actually having some interesting weather. Absolutely exquisite sunrise, absolutely exquisite magic. Everything was pink and just it was perfect. And my beautiful beloved was up and with me, and he's often not up for sunrise like the way I am. So, we are going to bring that into our incredible stories and our incredible experience today. So thanks for joining me. This is truly one of my favorite topics. So welcome, Nan Akasha here. And I want to invite you to subscribe below, check out the links below to the shop, to nanakasha.com, where we will be happy to send you emails reminding you of all the things we have going on. And we have retreats, sacred retreats. We have incredible classes. I have a mystery school. I've been through almost 40 years of spiritual work on this planet and many other lives. And it's my passion to uncover, to decode mysteries that we've lost through time. We've lost through conquering and erasing. We've lost through all the different versions of our history that have been told, and we have now an opportunity to rise back in and be here now for unity, be here in this very powerful ninth wave. And this ninth wave of consciousness that we're in right now requires us to, number one, resurrect literally the sacred feminine, the aspects of us that we've persecuted, that we've ignored, that we've ridiculed, that we've hidden. Our intuition, our knowing, our love, our soft side, our acceptance, our nonviolence, our understanding of hidden realms, of higher realms. All of this has been literally systematically forbidden and beaten, burned, killed, you whatever you want, through history. So we're not interested in going back into history and who did what to who. We want to be aware of where we are right now and what are the aspects, what are the elements that have created who we are right now. So we're seeing a lot of people realize they have trauma. We're seeing a lot of people realize that they have other issues, anxiety. We have names for this. It's talked about. There's pills. When I grew up, you didn't tell anybody anything. Even if you got a headache, it was like, what's wrong with you? So this is good. And this is a problem. Whatever you focus on, whatever you agree to, whatever you choose becomes true for you. So if you say, yes, I have this label, yes, I have this problem, yes, the world is never going to be balanced again, right? I'm going to think about all the bad guys all the time. I'm going to think about all the negativity. I'm going to think about all the reasons I can't have what I want. I'm going to think about all the reasons I can't do what I want. I'm going to live in denial. I'm going to live in denying myself options, possibilities, thinking about what I want, truly engaging in what I want, going for what I want if other people don't want what I want. There's so much that you have access to by being in a body, by being here at this time of accelerated growth. And the energies around us are supporting balance. They're supporting us. However, the earth and our bodies and all of the elements, okay, from water, oil, crystals, metals, air, moon, animals, insects, whatever. Everything is life force. Everything is from the same divine source, and so are we. And we're naturally attuned to it to communicate telepathically, clairaudiently, it doesn't matter. Pick up clair visually and all of the different sentience and ability to feel or to know. But there's 360 senses that you are ready to connect to. And you're probably using some of them already. You don't have a name for them. So you're like, oh, I get this certain feeling when I have my intuitive feeling that this usually means this is a good thing. This means this is positive. This means this is going to be powerful. This is a strong spiritual yes to me. So a lot of my very strong-minded spiritual clients, they have that. They'll have chills go up their spine and make them sort of stand up or get an axe through their head, like a lot of pain almost, but go right through the center, which is your third eye, which is all the glands that make up the all seeing eye. So everything we do every single day is vital right now, that it is conscious, that it is sacred, that it is intentional, that we choose who we're being as we're walking to the grocery store, that we choose who we're being when we go drive our kids to school, when we go to, I don't do that anymore. They have to take care of that themselves, though. Nobody's in school at the moment. No. Okay. And so, what you are doing is learning to live in a sacred way. What does it mean? Does it mean you have to be like pious and in denial, like nuns and monks, and deny yourself pleasure and ecstasy and beauty and love and happiness and abundance and prosperity? No. Okay, you have to let go. You have to cut away all of the things that you were told about what is actually really important, what you're here to do, who you are, and how. How. We always want to know the how, right? And even though it's like truly the purest advice to that is exactly what I'm sure you've heard if you've studied any sacred scripts, or scriptures or traditions or mystery schools like I have, so many. You understand that there's only the now, right? That you're choosing by believing on an internal level, by acting, by living in what you wish to be true, because you know that the world around you will start to mold to what you are holding. But we were taught to mold to what the world is doing. Fit in, understand. If someone's in the ditch of emotions, go jump in the ditch with them. Tell them how terrible it is. Think about how tragic it is, what's happening to them. You're making them a victim and you're disempowering them. Get the scale of consciousness in the shop and go look at it. When you see yourself or anyone else as a victim, as powerless, as helpless, you are now looking at them and saying, in my reality, I see you as, weak, unfortunate. It's so sad, poor you. And everything you were taught was being nice was not being nice. You are literally disempowering your sister, your brother, your mother, your friend, your children, yourself. So we're talking about a lot of things I love. We're talking about sacred travel. We're talking about literally living every day of your life as if it were sacred and choosing what you're going to do based on what's the intention underneath it. Now, I don't want everything scheduled and organized. I want fluidity within that. I will get called to a pyramid, to a sacred site. I live in the Yucatan. I live about 11 minutes, I think, from a pyramid. And I live an hour from many pyramids. And we just spent 3-4 days in a town only an hour away from me that's filled with pyramids. And so because this is, for me, my passion, I've been going to sacred sites since I was very little. I've been dreaming of past lives since I was very little. I was very drawn to Native Americans at the time, unfortunately, but it's just what was. We just had Pocahontas. That was the only image we had. So I wanted to be Pocahontas. Basically, I wanted to be a Native American. Later, I was very honored to study with a Lakota Sioux shamaness, and went through all kinds of interesting things, from building a sweat lodge from scratch for over many days, because you wait for the spirits to speak to you. You go to the forest and you speak to the land, you speak to the trees, you say, who is willing to gift us your part of your body for this sacred reason that we're doing. Then you come home, you as a group of people, you're doing this with a very sacred intention. You're not pushing an agenda. You're not saying, oh, we were going to do this 2 hours ago or yesterday. And everything is in sacred time. So when you talk about living a sacred life, Do you have to do that in your everyday life? How do you feed your children, and how do you get this done, and how do you get that done, and how do you stay on your agenda if you have to be like, oh, I have to wait for spirit to motivate me, right? So here's the fun thing. First of all, dedicate sacred time. Dedicate daily sacred time, weekly sacred time, and quarterly sacred time. And if the best you can do right now, because you just can't conceive of taking more time off from your job or your family or the money or the approval or the children or the dog or whatever it is. We have many things in our lives, right? The opportunity to go on a sacred retreat literally ensures that you have nothing else in your way. Your normal routine is not there. Oh, I could go do the laundry since I'm home. Oh, the phone rang, I should get it. That we don't often have landlines anymore, but you get the point, right? We have to interrupt the pattern. We have to get out of the norm. We have to learn to stop being who we are. And when you do the same thing every day, when you get up and you look at the same things on your phone and you drive the same place and you make the same tea in the same way, whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's that you have to recognize that, is it pleasing you? Is it serving you? Is it feeding you? Well, giving yourself retreat time, pilgrimage time. Think about what that means. So I avoided the word pilgrimage for a long time, even though I've been doing them for a long time, because to me it had very deep religious overtones. The idea of a pilgrimage, though, is a sacred journey, is a vision quest. It's an initiation. It's going outside of your reality, your normal day, often going outside of your comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as you go into the mountains with no food, no water, and no knife for 5 days or something, or you walk 500 miles with no shoes or whatever. There's every level of pilgrimage. The bottom line that I do is I go in a sacred way. What is a sacred way? So in the first video in this series, we talked about that, and I gave you a lot of ideas on what to do if you can't travel, things you can do daily, weekly, on the weekends, nearby, how and what you think about to bring this into your life. So what we want to jump to now is the idea of retreat or pilgrimage. Again, the maximum benefit comes from the longest amount of time outside of your pattern. So if you could go 10 days or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you get the point, right? 10 days is really, 10, 11, 12 days is a really juicy thing. I think I would go with 13 because it's such a sacred number. If you go 3 days, it's better than nothing. It's fantastic. You broke the pattern. You got out. You had some time. You released some. You received some. You had to go through the trials and tribulations of travel, a little or a lot. That's always a part of the pilgrimage. It's not, I'm trying to get this annoying travel over in order to get to my pilgrimage. Your pilgrimage, your retreat starts the minute you decide to go, starts the minute you put your money down, you buy your ticket, okay? Whatever has that definitive container that you've now decided, and you've then anchored that decision into the physical reality. So in manifesting, and if you're interested in manifesting any of my retreats, contact us, because we have a little group, and we had this amazing experience with our little group of people who wanted to come on the retreat in March, and how many of them manifested it, and they got to be together and they got to celebrate each other's successes. And now we have a new group that's manifesting the retreat in September. So make sure that you check that out. Let me give you access to that. And we have 3 spots left, I believe, because maybe 2, but anyway, come and talk to me about this. And what we talk about is like, what are the common fears that come up and tell you can't? The same thing is going to be true for you if you say to yourself, I need a retreat. What is a retreat? Could you retire yourself, right? retire, you retreat, you go within, you go somewhere sacred or soft or comfortable, or maybe it's challenging. Okay. Maybe you hike, I went up a pyramid that's 170 meters, about 52, meters, 170 feet, um, 5 times in 3 days, I think. Plus another one that was not as tall. That was about 80 feet, I think. When I got to the top, I was doing some earth energy calculations. I'm talking to the stones. I'm talking to the ancients. I'm talking to the land. I'm talking to the many different civilizations. There's always, for Mayan pyramids, there's usually 3 different pyramids inside of each other. And they did this intentionally from the beginning. Every 52 years, and there's all these sacred geometry and other wisdom that I am so excited to get to go deeper and deeper into. So when I go, I may be doing something that's physically challenging, right? I may be doing something that's pushing me out of my comfort zone, that's stretching my limits. That's okay. If it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, even financial, in some ways, please don't go bankrupt or anything, crazy. But I'll tell you what I've seen through 38 years, I think, of working with people, from being an energy healer, a radionics practitioner, right? Energy work in that way, energy work like Tellington Touch and different energy medicines, a homeopathic doctor, a hypnotherapist, and shamanic work with Lakota Sioux, with Egyptian, with the Mayan, with and many different ones, and then long time with Celtic goddess energies and these kinds of very sacred. So every one of those attracted me because there was a beautiful lesson there. There was a remembering. So when you go on the retreat, you go to retreat from other things, from your life, from your normal conversation, from your to-do list, from being obligated to other people. When my children were really little, it was so exciting to get to go away for a business trip. I would go a day early and just stay in the hotel room all day, and sleep and write and read and just meditate and, I don't know, swim or something. Just almost do nothing because I was always, always on. So you can think of it that way. But I've noticed that every person I've ever seen stretch themselves out of their comfort zone around money. Now, it might be that you have the money, but you're not sure if you should spend it. Maybe you feel guilty that you personally are spending it on yourself and it should be spent on your children or something else. You have debt. You shouldn't do anything until your debt is gone. Which, if you own a house, means most of your life you're not going to do anything else. So you need to rewire your relationship with all the different aspects. Oh, I shouldn't use credit. So and so won't like it. I've seen all of it, and I can tell you that the way is already there. If you can see yourself there, if you feel called, that sacredness is now connected to the sacredness in your cells, maybe your dreams, maybe your memories. Maybe you watch one of the shows I did with Maria, or you watch one of the shows, with the Mayan pyramids, and you start vibrating, you start feeling homesick, you start, getting sweaty, you have a reaction. There's all these levels of your spirit. Of fourth dimension is time, and there's you can go anywhere you want in time. So when you go to these places, all the different civilizations are there, all the different wise people are there, all the different people doing ceremony. So you tune into the one that is optimal for you, that might heal your heart, or remember that you had a sacred purpose at another time, and you remember how it felt to walk that way, to feel the connection with the land, to be able to hear the stars. The ancients could hear the stones speaking, they could hear the stars speaking. And it wasn't just the priestesses and the magicians who were trained in that. It was because they didn't have a lot of noise and pollution and 40 million cell towers, and yes, all that too. But it was before that as well that we lost our ability because of the density of our consciousness. So what I find happens is you go on a retreat, whether it's for an hour a day, you literally treat it like a retreat. You retire to a cozy little place. You bring your cacao, you play sacred music, you light your copal. We had, what do we have here? Copal and Palo Santo today so far. Okay, so let's dive into more ideas around why sacred retreats are so incredibly powerful. Okay, I'll share this with you first. I put it up on the screen. It should be down below. And there's so many special things about this retreat, but I know that it's going to be full in the next week or so. So if you're interested, please contact me, okay? Because there's, like I said, we have a manifesting group. We have two parts to it. We've got more retreats coming up later this year. I also design and can lead and source everything for your personal sacred retreat, as a couple, as a group, as a family. I'm designing quite a few of them this year and next year, from smaller groups to bigger groups. And it can be here in the Maya land, can be in England, can be in Greece, can be in Egypt, can be anywhere in the US. You can tell me the type of energies, the type of sacred symbols, the type of ancient, wisdom that you would like to connect with. And or most people usually have a location, they want to come and do the Maya things, or they want to go and do, the Greek temples and Delphi. So, so come and join Maria and I, and me in Stonehenge, Woodhenge, Wells Cathedral with this beautiful friend of Maria's. We're really blessed to have these experts come and show us the goddess of Venus encoded into this temple. So what happens when you go on this retreat? Could you go to Stonehenge? Yes. You have to get a private access ticket, which is, you can do. It's just a little bit of a acrobatics, but we've got them. That's why we have a limit to the event. However, all of these places are sacred, right? And they all have memory. Stone carries memory, whether it's an ancient stone circle like Stonehenge, of course, or the pyramids here, or the pyramids in Egypt, or the stone temples in Greece, and on, okay? We're realizing and finding stone circles all over, high Scotland and Ireland. We have Aboriginal ones around Iraq. There's so many of these beautiful things, I hope. And so you've got like Woodhenge, we go together as a sacred group. And as a sacred group, I've prepared us, I've connected to the land. When you do a sacred retreat, whether you're doing it yourself, by yourself, in your garden on the weekend, or you go somewhere locally for a night and just give yourself time away from your life or your family, or you go somewhere and stay in a forest because you want to talk to the forest, and everything has a healing energy. Everything has a medicine. So a sacred retreat doesn't have to be to an ancient Neolithic, Bronze Age, or medieval site. But those kinds of things often carry very beautiful energies that will bring memories, that will wash away, cleanse your emotions, and let you free yourself from something you've been struggling with, so that you can now step into what's the next step on your path. So I'm here as a wisdom teacher. I'm here with a mystery school because everything I do is the purpose of helping you to become your own authority, to open up your internal senses, to remember, whether you can consciously do it, that you have gifts and senses and sensors and receptors of receiving an information. You have gifts of seeing for people or healing in different ways. Healing just means becoming whole. We're having a beautiful rain, such a beautiful rain. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So whether you go out in the rain, right? If you honor the elements, this is being in a sacred way. If you honor the breath that you breathe every day, you thank it, you're walking in a sacred way. Now, if you go by yourself, you're going to do this, a sacred retreat or something, you do the same thing I do. Okay. You go because you have prepared yourself. You've created an intention. This is a pilgrimage to your power. You want the healing gifts of this experience. You're ready for the transformation. You're ready for the metamorphosis. You're ready for the aha. You're ready for the inspiration. You're ready for the release. You're ready for the idea, the energy. You're ready for whatever's next. You may not even know what's next. You may be saying, like, I don't know what's next in my life, or I feel stuck, or I feel blocked, or I know what I want, but I don't know how to get it. So I'm stuck in the how. Okay. All of these things immediately start to break down and break up as soon as you decide to go on and begin to plan a sacred retreat. So when you come to this retreat, you might be like last night, we were talking on one of the texts about where you fly. Do you fly to London or Bristol? And then how do you get to Glastonbury? And so we're discussing, and everybody's sharing different information. So the logistics of putting yourself thinking about getting to your retreat. Maybe it's just you driving an hour to a beautiful lake that's nearby, right? Especially on days that are like moons and suns and solstices and things like that. These amplify the energy. Now, there's a reason if you feel called. I have to surrender. And I used to feel guilty because I love doing this. I love going on trips. I love going sacred places. I love going in a sacred way, which usually means meditating. So I talk to the land beforehand. I heart to heart weave with the land beforehand. I call on the guardians of the land and the place and the ancients and the ancestors and the animals and Mother Earth and all the elementals I'm talking about, because I've been to these places for so long now. They are alive. They are waking up. The priestesses are standing on the temple now. They're not like, I think they're here. I feel them. I'm practically seeing them in that inner vision. Like I can just be like, they were like, it was like a wedding cake, the pyramid that I was climbing. And it's two pyramids. It's a huge platform, Acropolis pyramid, very huge base, one of the biggest ones. And then you get 9 layers up that one. And then you climb the next one, and it's all rounded. It's very feminine. Okay. And all the priestesses, ancient priestesses that relate to me and the work I was doing there. If you were there, there might have been different energies arising. You might have not seen the priestesses. You might have noticed a different light that wasn't relevant to me. So I didn't notice it, because everything you do in a sacred way, when you go to a sacred site like this, these stones are activated, but then every person receiving the activation from the stone, from the land, from the earth currents or spirals or chimneys or grids or ley lines, and all the ley lines are just the straight lines. So the currents that run along the ley lines and all of the wonderful things that Maria is the expert at. You've got to go on a retreat with Maria. She's truly exceptional wisdom, exceptional heart, exceptional, beautiful woman. And so we are, you bring your energy. So when you join one of my retreats, I know the minute you decide to come, the minute you put your deposit down, the minute you buy your ticket, whatever is your decision into action, all right, is the moment that your initiation begins. And so this is going to be true if you do a retreat and you take 3 hours to yourself and kick everybody else out of the house. If you go over to a friend's house, or I used to go to the meditation gardens, or, in Glastonbury, I fell in love with the Abbey. You have to pay, but I'm a member. So, but it's like a huge park. There's lakes, there's apple orchards, and there's some, beautiful old ruins. There's the heart chakra. There's the, grave of Guinevere and Arthur, which is the heart chakra of the heart chakra, and and all the other vortexes and everything that's there, which is why all the different ancient structures were there. So whether you're called to ancient structures, temples, if you want to go on a pilgrimage with specifically like the Camino, you want to challenge yourself physically, you want to challenge yourself spiritually, you want to go in search of Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene, or you want to go like we are, and we're going this time. So your intention when you go on a sacred retreat is going to determine the decisions that come to you, the opportunities that open up to you, what trips you see, what information that you attract about it. Maybe you're not at all interested in one aspect of it, but you love the other aspect of it. And I'm bringing a retreat and we're going in, and Maria is the expert and the author of The Secrets of Stonehenge. So why do I want to go with her? Because as much as I know, and I can talk to the site and I can take you in and we can meditate and we can do all this groovy stuff, and we will, we bring her. She's been there hundreds of times. She's doused everything. She knows the energy. She knows the original creation. She knows the 3 phases. She knows that it was built as a goddess temple. She knows how the goddess temple operated. We go in and we embody this. So that is something about a sacred retreat, and about being with us, being with certain people who are activating energies, calling them in, know where they are, have done this before. Wise people, right? Priestesses and wise people, experts in whatever way you like that expertise. That takes the sacredness of the pilgrimage, the intention you bring, to a whole new level. Because now if you just went there alone, you would come with your intention and you would have a beautiful time, and you would probably have a wonderful download, and you'd have a release and get some beautiful photos, and maybe some light beings would show up in them. And it's beautiful, but it's very different if you're on a pilgrimage with an intention, with a group or a retreat, because I'm preparing the land. I'm preparing everybody in the 3 days before the Stonehenge day, and then the full moon and the lunar eclipse and the high moon. So again, what is scripted into a retreat is something you can do. Look at, this. I've scripted in the full moon. So I'm discussing, last year with Maria, okay, I want to do this with you, and let's take, and I'm going to, jump in and do my best to get some private access tickets to Stonehenge and so on. And so it was like, what could we do? Where could we go? What is this? And she discovered the long-skulled queens, literally the long-skulled people of the British Isles. They're skeletons. So this is now coming forward, this entire ancient civilization that was forgotten. And the sacred feminine is rising again. And the Stonehenge was a goddess temple, originally, the intent, and had a whole different look to it and everything. And so all of that birthed me. When's the full moon? Oh my gosh, it's right around when we're talking about, we adjusted everything, and then it came in. Oh, it's the high moon. That's another energy. Oh, it's going to be the lunar eclipse. It's huge. The energies that happen for that. So a sacred retreat combines what is there in the earth, the waters that you get into, the spirals that are there, the earth energies that Maria will have our dowsing rods. She's going to teach you how to sense and find certain vortexes, feel the stones, where to stand for different healing. We're going to be doing a sacred, ceremony. I'm going to be guiding us through with the goddess temple, calling on them, because I've just told you, everything is already existing right now. So you're there together with all the people at the temple, and we do a thing where we only connect to those that are optimal. So if people were killed there, we're allowing them to go off and be healed, but we're not bringing them in. Okay. So, I've got to update that. We have 3 spots available now. So then here's another place that if you went to the Wells Cathedral, I would probably have not gone to that in the past, because I was mad at the Christian church for, killing all these people and taking their stuff and burning it down and then building churches on top of it. Now I understand there's all these different levels of sacredness. And what's wonderful about this is that, that it was built on some sacred energies. So not the newer ones, but most of the older temples, churches, and cathedrals are built in a sacred way, built on sacred alignments, encoded with things that were hidden, from the church, looked like, an angel, but really represented, something much more powerful and real and mysterious. And that's what this is. This is Venus, the sacred geometrical flower that its 8-year cycle goes through, and then all the meaning of Venus. And oh my gosh, in every culture they have a Venus temple at every site here, the Maya did. So that again, it gives you an opportunity. Everybody who goes in to that church will come out with a different experience and with a shared experience, right? Because what happens when you go on a sacred retreat, again, we are now going to be every day as a group, we're evolving. You're going through all your ups and your downs and your visions, and you're activating your intuition, and you're healing your heart, and you're feeling the earth energies, and like everything is blending together. So one of the reasons that the longer you're outside of your regular environment is that these new energies, these new sensations, these new flavors have time to get deeper inside of you, to get into your mind and start breaking free from the limited thoughts that you've had about who you are. That the key to this is that you are ready to discover a deeper level of you. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to go on a sacred retreat, and the intention, the people, the group are all going to align with what you are. Now, I would recommend that you always go to the end result. Okay. So you see yourself going into this long barrow, chanting, doing this as a healing temple of the sacred queens and the sacred priestesses. And it's fabulous. Just watch all the shows we have on it. They're all below. Here is Dragon Hill and Uffington Horse, and here's Maria in action at the Stones. And so we've got, and then before that, we do the Ancient Queen's Pilgrimage. So we're going to be in Glastonbury. We're going to be at all the private places for the wells and the springs, and doing magic and channeling your energy back, aligning you, preparing you, so that when we go on the full moon, when we go to Stonehenge, when we go to all these other places, that sacredness it's already, you're speaking to it, you're going with a group that's together, you all have the same intention, yet you're individual. And this is where you make the biggest quantum leaps in your life, bar none. Yeah, right. So, okay, let's dive over here to, hi, oh my goodness, hi girls. All right. I wrote a whole thing the other day because I thought I was going to do the show on Tuesday, but we had the new moon. So we're still having the new moon. I highly recommend you watch the new moon show from the other day, because the new moon has a 13-day cycle, right, to the full moon. And we're still coming out of the solstice for quite a long time now. And we have growth and prosperity, right, coming in right now, very big time. So, okay, so this is episode 2. And, we've been talking about the power of sacred retreats. So again, both think about giving yourself a retreat type of aspect, right? And this episode's already ready. There's a playlist here. So go watch Why Sacred Travel Transforms You. And I also give you all kinds of things you can do at home, and dates with your higher self. And next week we'll do this one, Temples, Truth, and Transformation. I love these pictures. They're all my pictures. That's Greece. There's Stonehenge, of course. And that is Chichen Itza. Okay, so what happens? We've talked about the idea of time, talked about the idea that you transcend time. You go back in time, especially if you live in the US and you go to Paris, you're going to be walking around streets that are much older than probably where you live. And just being in a city like that, it is full of all the people who live there. It's full of all the different times. Maybe there was a war there. Maybe there was a cemetery there. I went into a mall in Paris that went underground, part of it, and it had a movie theater. And we bought tickets, and you stood in these tiny little hallways and very low ceilings, long like this, with no way out, waiting to get into this movie theater that was underground. And I started to feel like I was being buried alive. And I was like, I can't stay here. And we sat down, and I tried, and finally we left. And as we were coming out, like up out of it, I was like, oh my God, I was buried alive. Oh my God, I was buried alive. And we looked it up, and yeah, that whole area, the whole giant shopping mall, was where a huge mass grave was, where all these people were buried a long time ago. So, You don't have to feel it, don't worry. However, what does that do? Well, to me, if you don't connect to your past lives, if you don't communicate with your future potential lives, then you're not creating a life, because everything you've been in this life and every other life you've been is part of your lineage. You have a soul lineage. You might have a Celtic lineage, or you might have we're doing soul lineage readings, really journeys, and I don't know, they're so empowering. It's crazy. And what's beautiful about it is that you start to understand that you're eternal. You start to feel that. And when you go places in a sacred way, you're going with the intention of giving permission to time to unfold, to open doors. You could step through time. One of my absolute favorite movies, Midnight in Paris. If you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. Oh my gosh. So now your healing means becoming whole, and we're all on a path of healing. And when you decide to do things that quantum leap your healing, and you can just do nothing right now and quantum leap your healing, because everything is moving very, 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 very fast. And it's literal now. There isn't a single person I've met that even doesn't even understand or believe in like a higher spiritual aspect of that, like a harmonic or frequency aspect or dimensional realm aspect, which is how I approach it, because I've been studying energy medicine and dimensions and frequencies and all of that for so long. It's they'll just be like, yeah, things are moving really fast. Well, ride that, then accept that. Instead of saying, oh, I wish it'd slow down, be like, well, what's the potential with that? What could I heal faster? What could I let go of faster? What could I manifest faster? And then not be attached to the fastness with a big old fat ego, but going with the purpose that you're here for your soul awakening. You're here for your abundance, because you are ready to be supported and you're ready to be prospered, right? But this is an opportunity for walking through a portal of transformation. And I believe pretty much anything you do from 1 minute to the next will be filled with something that will transform you. And you could feel like it didn't, wasn't a big moment, but maybe you just had the most delicious cacao drink of your life, and you just feel full of yumminess and happiness in your heart for a few hours. Everything you notice, everything you acknowledge becomes a portal. Even a pain, even a fear, even like grief, even something that is really difficult. Don't see the challenges in life as bad, as punishment, as something you're shackled to, you're enslaved with, you're stuck with, something that you're condemned to, something that just is too bad, something that someone else outside of you, a God, a father, a priest, a teacher, who knows who you've given your power to, right? It's just the fact. It's who cares? It's just accept it, right? So I am going every minute through a portal of transformation. I'm dying to every moment. We started our Oracle deck class yesterday. Wow. Just wow. And there was one of them that was die to all or something, die to everything. And it's the mother creator of all cycles. Die to the old, create all new, fertilize new ideas. Don't be trying to dig through the pile of old. Just die to the old, shed it, support the new. So intentional is more than a gateway, right? We talked about that. It's a soul calling. So you're going to make sure that you have an intention and a presence. And I just want to touch for another second on the intention. We have a programming to go do, chase, make it happen. And I have a very large do list in my business. I'm writing many different books and this and that and whatever and all the time. So it's not that I don't have things to do. I am becoming better in every moment. With now it's actually quite shocking how I live compared to before. There's only so much in the day. I've been awake since 2 a.m. And so by the time I'm done with my Oracle class today, I will be done. Like I will be like, woo, boom, ready to lay down, ready to go to bed or go to sleep or sit in the hot tub. So if your sacred intention is grasping, craving, intense, fear-filled, worry-filled, anxious-filled, guilt-filled, shame-filled, okay? Really kind of cleanse your intention. So I I would always recommend that you listen to your heart and then recognize that you're going to have fears and beliefs that are going to block you from feeling, seeing, hearing, and understanding the full truth. Because if you could do that, you would only be in the end result. You would suddenly become aware of the retreat to England, and then suddenly you'd see yourself there at Stonehenge, and then you suddenly see yourself there in the White Springs with us doing our purification, like woo, and the fairy realms opened up and around us, and the oh my gosh. And you would have this, and you would start to have a part of you, either intentionally or unintentionally, will start taking over your thoughts and your feeling of thinking about it. Part of you is there. That then the two speak. So the intention is always to begin with, I hear my voice of my heart. I hear through my heart. I see from my heart, my truth, my soul. Because it's easy to get caught up in all the conversations about, well, I shouldn't go, or I should go, or should I go to 5 of these in a year, or one of them in a year. And whatever it is your intention is more important than the how. The logistics will fall into place if you tune into the intention. If you decide, I'm going to design a sacred retreat, or I'm going to go on a sacred retreat, and I want to go on this one. You want to go for something. What is calling you? Embody it. And then become present in that experience as if it was happening to you now, as if it was instant gratification. So you're stepping into a living temple. You are a living temple. And when you go into a retreat, I always say, because this is how they used to show it to me very vividly, you're stepping into a cocoon. It starts when you decide to go, and it doesn't feel really tangible yet until maybe you've put all your money down, or you've bought your ticket, or whatever has happened, right? That really makes you feel like, boom, boom, I've done it. I've imprinted this. Then the cocoon becomes a little more opaque because you're living your life, you're walking along, but that cocoon isn't going to release you till after the retreat is over. So everything that happens on the way to the retreat is part of the living temple. Why is it living? Because it's communicating with you. Synchronicities are going to pop up. Ideas are going to come. You're going to have the land, or so maybe you see a symbol and you look it up and realize, oh, it's a Druidic symbol or a Celtic symbol, or it's the symbol of the chalice well. Okay. So reach out and know that the sacredness of your travel, the sacredness of your intention, I'm coming in a sacred way. I'm called by my heart. I have no idea why I'm coming here. I don't know if I was here. I don't know if I'm meant to be here. Merlin keeps appearing to me. I keep hearing Morgana, Mary Magdalene talking about the priestesses. I know I was a priestess, and it scares me, but I feel like it's time for me to release the fear and let that memory come, because it's been knocking on the door for a while. That was the way it was for me. And so the land and the elements, let's say you're going to waters, caves, you're going to mountains, you're going to pyramids, you're going to forests, you're going to, what are you communing with? Are you going to go sit around a sacred fire? Are you going to chant in a temple? Are you going to be in a forest or a jungle? Are you going to be dancing? Are you going to be hiking? Are you going to be at night? Like, what is that you could connect with? Because now you are a vessel for the promise you made to the universe. And the promise you made to the universe is that you will, without hesitation, step forward when the doors open and be the vessel for the divine information in every moment and every place and point in time. Everything I require is there. It is there based on your intention. So be receptive, be open, be aligned, while also being intentional and focused on what you want. And what you want might be, I don't know what I want. I don't know if I want to go to Egypt, I want to kiss a dolphin, or I want to climb a pyramid. I don't know what if I want Celtic, Icelandic, Viking, Mother Mary, or Göbekli Tepe, or whatever it's called, in Turkey. There's so much that could call you, and the retreats become temples, they become portals, they become stargates. They're doing that anyway. If you go to a sacred site or a stone or a place of a particular earth energy. Okay. So, like I said, it begins before. Now, silence and stillness and spiritual focus, that will anchor you there. That's why before you go to sleep, sit with it. Talk to the land. You're already in a healing experience. It's only going to amplify when you get there physically. But I've had clients say, oh, I'm coming because I have these things I want to heal. And then I give them a session, or I give them a meditation, or something about their calling to that retreat. They start to connect to it and really immerse themselves in it. And then they call me and say, okay, I've already healed what I was going to come to the retreat for. And they're not saying that like, now I want my money and I want to come. They're like, oh my gosh, if that happened before I even got there. That's what I'm telling you. Your intention to go. And then you follow up and you accept the guidance and you accept the doors opening to the how. Because when you're in the silence and the stillness, your personal focus is anchored in your inner temple. And where is your inner temple? Anywhere in time you want it to be. A future moment becomes the now moment, becomes the past moment. And there you are standing telling people like, it was the greatest thing I ever did. Honest to God, I have never in my life felt this. It was this. I can't wait to go back. I want to do this again. Like, what will you be saying? And how can you begin that now? So, also, after you leave, you bring a trail with you. We've talked about all of this, I think, that you disconnect from the 3D by getting out of the mundane. And this starts to heal karma. What is karma? Karma is our belief that we're stuck, a belief that we have made a vow, a belief that we're unlucky, a belief that we have to suffer, a belief that anything you believe that says you have to suffer, you're not good enough. And we have a lot of them, and I have a lot of them, and we bring a lot of them. So that's why going places you're called, you will bring key codes, you will receive key codes. The stones will speak to you and bring you medicine. The trees will, the ancestors, whatever it is, will speak to you. Now, our purpose is to release fear from you and from the land. So this is a reciprocal thing. You're healing the world. You're freeing other people. You're freeing your ancestors. You're changing the story. You're letting people, you're putting into the Akash, or putting into the, the dimensions where people can access it, into the mental realms, what people can do. Look, it's possible for you. You could collapse timelines, and suddenly now you're no longer waiting to manifest something. You could leave a retreat and walk back into your life, and it could be very different. It could be completely different depending on how much you're willing to do it. So you can use sacred retreats as literal timeline jumping. Okay, quantum jumping into what you want by accessing and utilizing the different powers that happen on a sacred retreat. So we talked about it was the cocoon. It definitely changes your state of consciousness when you go in a sacred way. And then we're going to these sites. And then I talked to Maria, like, where's the part? What's the part of this? What's this attuned to? Oh, there's these different spirals. We'll go to these spots. Everybody will get to feel them. And then we'll sit here and we'll chant and we'll activate these stones, right? But it's always going to raise your consciousness. It's going to open doors within your intuitive skills, whether you have ever seen energy or not. Very often people see with their eyes. They'll see colors and energies and halos and glows and auras after a lot of the things we do on these retreats. You get a deeper connection to your purpose. You start to talk to higher levels of yourself. You feel more certain about who you are. Your soul powers, you think, wow, I didn't ever think of myself being that, or I always wanted to do that, but I never really wanted to let myself do that, right? So this is a healing of all of your dimensions. And it's not like wiping it clean. It's whatever is optimal at this time. What are you ready for? At the moment you go, with the group that goes with you, with the energies cosmically, like the full moon and all that, with the energies that we're in, the earth energies, with what we're doing in that place, with the respect we're having for the land. All right. So all these things happen. You reclaim your gifts, you raise your vibration, right? You do this, and you can come and be less present and you can come and go really deep. The people who have the hugest breakthroughs in the end are the ones that just fully embrace the, if they have a discomfort, if they have a pain, if something goes wrong. Last year in England, so many people were losing things and then finding them. It was bizarre. It was a very fey-like thing, fairy-like realm thing. So we do heal in all realms. You're going to be walking multidimensionally. This is what sacred retreats with me are like. And then, you look at the retreat that you're called to. Are you designing it? Are you going on it? How do you resonate with the person who designed it? What are they going to do? When people just go to a site as a tourist, it's not interesting to me. I do my best to find, how can we be there at an unusual time of the day? How can we be there alone? How could we be there and do a ceremony? How could we be there and, do something unique? And because it completely changes your experience with the place, right? So then we talked about it ripples out, of course. Communication, of course. These are portals. You'll be standing there in a different place. So if you want to increase, activate, or amplify your ability to speak with nature spirits or stones, to have a completely different experience with these kinds of sites, because they're waking up all the time now. Very different. A lot of these sites are very different than they were even just a few years ago. And the authorities are changing every day. Every day it's changing. If you feel called to go someplace that is controlled by a government or something, I highly recommend you go as soon as possible, because they're just changing rules left and right. So I love doing the sacred sounds. So if at all possible, if you can drum or do a flute or chant or tone or listen to your own sacred music, I like chakra alignment, or, Native American flutes, or, Deva Premal chants, anything that is going to awaken a more vibrational presence within you, then you can open a vibrational field that will communicate with a different part, a different level of the landscape, a different level of the energies there. And you may have an initiation just walking up to the long barrow, and somebody else has a deeper initiation inside the long barrow. Someone else, is just standing by themselves at the heart chakra in the Abbey and had a full-on, conversation with Guinevere and changed everything for her, because now she's taken her power back as a, realizing she's the royalty and she doesn't have to agree to other people's stories, and she's never talked to spirit guides before, so everything is there for your soul's mission. And the intention behind a pilgrimage is always to go in a humble way, to go in an open-hearted way, to go with honor, not with ego, not with desperation. So as much as you want your healing, of course, please, it's not like, oh, pretend you don't want anything. This is your chance to surrender your fear, your pain, your feeling of lack, and let the sacred promise you made to your soul that you are a key code carrier, that your presence alone will unlock a vortex where you go many places. I've seen it all the time. You will receive and transmit healing energy simply by showing up somewhere. And the more you show up in a sacred way, more with love in your heart, more devotion, more, I don't know what's here, but thank you for bringing me. And make sure that you have your activated protection. It's why I teach you how to do this. And I create a communion with the land, so where we are welcomed, so the illusion, the fae, don't play too many tricks on us. So all you need is already prepared. The land is waiting, and the moment is now. And that was what they told me. So say yes to whatever the retreat is that's calling you. Remember, you can create a small retreat in the afternoon, in the morning, every day. I retreat from my house. I go for 2 hours, sometimes longer, walk on the beach, depending on what the tide's letting me do. Ideally before sunrise. I barely see anyone, if I see anyone, except turtles and turtle nests and things. So that's a form of a retreat. I'm literally taking 2 hours, 3 hours out of my day, and I'm leaving my environment. I'm walking barefoot, on the beach, and I'm just there with the environment. I'm receiving the birds and the sun and that's a retreat. So, or if you want to come on one of my retreats, Maria's going to be coming here to Mexico next year. We're going to combine my Mayan priest that I'm working with her, with me, a pretty incredible, powerful retreat. We're going to be going to Greece next year. We're going to keep coming back to England. We're going to make sure that we are on a constant path of taking this time and the energy at this moment that allows us to accelerate, stepping into the spiral, walk the path of sacred remembrance. So those were what we just saw. Okay, so I hope that inspired you, gave you an excitement for your own ideas of retreats. One of the things I love about retreats is that I can design them and be like, I want this kind of experience. How will we do that? Well, how will we do that in a sacred way? Well, who could do that with us? Yeah. Oh, maybe we could get like a priestess from Avalon to come, and did a journey or something for us last year. We had a lady come, an artist come and help us make wands. We went through all the orchards. So it's looking for the experiences that land, that history, that culture, whether it's an ancient culture, a new culture, a blend of a bunch of them like Glastonbury, what they offer. And then oftentimes another reason that sacred retreats are so powerful are the people that you may become lifelong friends with. They may trigger you to release something. It may become such a close and beautiful experience. You may have deep conversations, or you may be an inspiration to someone else. And when you have the retreat, you have it forever, because you go home, it's not over. You don't leave it behind. You become something new. You take it with you. And that's another reason why I love retreats, is it's an experience that I get to taste, I get to experience on all the dimensions. And I know when I go home, I'm going to be a whole new person. And so I'm always in a state of discovery. I'm always in a state of like, oh, I know my intention is that I'm always becoming. The next step is unfolding for me. It's unfolding along my path. I'm aligning with my powers, my purpose, and everything. So I want you to do the same thing, and I want you to enjoy the weekend. The new moon and the seed planting is highly recommended. The show here, or just do your own meditation. We're receiving a lot of downloads from the sun right now. A lot of orange, yellow, red codes, gold codes, these energies that flare, the energies of fire, the energies of sacred fire. And if you have a fear, if you want to go on a retreat and you have a fear, what I love is, like, we had a group manifest coming to the retreat in March, and then a bunch of them are manifesting coming now. And one lady was like, nope, I'm manifesting this other thing. And she won a scholarship. And so this is the fun about learning that you aren't here, okay, to be a slave to your life. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any particular lifestyle, any particular job. You don't have to work a certain amount of time. And I invite you to do sacred travel, to do sacred intentions every day, to give yourself sacred retreat, to start to open yourself to all the possibilities that are there right now, because we don't know what will happen, what's calling your soul, what will heal your soul, what will give you a sense of nourishment, what calls you, but you don't know why. Those are the really juicy ones. Like, oh, I don't know why I want to go there. So, okay. Well, wonderful. I will see you next week for our next one about the temples of transformation. So that's, of course, one of my favorite things, is going to these places, whether it's a stone circle, pyramid, or whatever, whether you can get in it, on it, around it, sleep next to it, basically on that land. Wow. So there's all of this opportunity inside of these temples, and you can transmute, transform, and find your truth. And that's part of the whole idea of living a sacred life and going on a pilgrimage. So I hope you enjoyed learning more of the healing gifts, of the idea of thinking of everything sacred instead of, oh, I'm going to get this done and then I'll be sacred. Weave it into your life, weave it into your week, weave it into your mind, and then walk each step in a sacred way. Bless and kiss the earth, bless and kiss your body, bless and kiss the air. Be in that gratitude, radiate it. Namaste. In Lak'ech, Alakin. Take care. Bye bye.